Hi everyone, today I will be explaining about some important formulas related to the telescopes which need to be considered while selecting or buying a telescope. The first and foremost point is generally telescopes are of two types, namely reflector and refractor. Refractor will be used to view the planetary objects and reflectors are used to view the deep sky objects such as nebulas and galaxies. Now, coming to the formulas, the first important formula is the focal ratio, which is calculated as focal length of the telescope in millimeter divided by the aperture of the telescope in millimeter. Here, if the aperture is more, then while viewing the objects through that particular telescope, the brightness of the image will be very good compared to the telescope which is used with less aperture. Now coming to the magnification. Magnification is calculated as focal length of the telescope in millimeter divided by the focal length of the eyepiece in millimeter. Now the concept of eyepiece is eyepieces will be of various dimensions, namely 25 mm eyepiece, 10 mm eyepiece and 2 mm eyepiece. Likewise, if we are going with a less millimeter eyepiece, then the magnification will be more for the telescope. In general, we need to use around 25 mm eyepiece for a better view of objects. Now let's consider the total field of view. Total field of view is calculated as apparent field of view of the eyepiece divided by the magnification of the telescope. When calculated, it will be in degrees. Now generally speaking, 1 degree is calculated as 60 arc minutes and 1 arc minute is calculated as 60 arc seconds. Overall, 1 degree is equals to 3600 arc seconds. Now, in order to better understand of these formulas, I have given a small example here where the focal length here I have considered as 1000 mm, aperture as 100 mm, eyepiece as 25 mm and the apparent field of view of the eyepiece is 50 degrees. Using this, the focal ratio is calculated as focal length divided by the aperture, which is 1000 by 100 comes to 10. Magnification, it is nothing but the focal length of the telescope in millimeter divided by the focal length of the eyepiece, which is 1000 by 25, which comes to 40x. Meaning the maximum magnification that the telescope can be attained is 40x when the eyepiece of 25 mm is used. Next, the total field of view of the telescope is calculated as apparent field of view of the eyepiece in degrees divided by the magnification, which in case here it is 50 degrees divided by 40, which is equals to 1.25 degrees. So these are the formulas which I have considered as important and will be useful for everyone while selecting a telescope.